Ron rents an apartment in my building, but he lives in a neighboring town. Getting to know him was not pleasant to say the least. I had a conflict with his tenants. All the neighbors then took my side, and we tried to evict them by all possible means. By the way, the same neighbors let me know that Ron is not quite adequate, but I decided to try to write to him about what happened. His position became clear to me. He doesn't plan to evict anyone, but he doesn't mind flirting with me. I politely supported communication, beforehand letting him know that I will not give up my idea. One day he invited me to tea. I agreed, set the time, but warned that I can on the appointed day in the afternoon, because in the morning busy. We met him in the city, the usual acquaintance. I felt that he felt guilty about the behavior of his tenants. He went to deal with them. The neighbors told me about it. I tried to explain to him that he was not to blame for our conflict and demand to evict them. I decided to let the situation go, which I stated. Then I moved the conversation to another topic, which he was obviously happy about. We talked to him about nothing and parted ways. Further between us was correspondence, simple jokes, gossip about neighbors. In the correspondence, I found out that he is 36 years old, and he is not married and has never been, and he was obviously proud of it. He suggested that I switch to you, to which I said that I would be more comfortable with you. And then he got really annoyed by it and occasionally snapped to you. Later he asked about my plans for the weekend. I told him that I was busy for the next weekend, but the weekend after that I was free. The second time I met Ron was for my son's birthday. I threw a party and my son invited some friends. There were 2 girls there who had a mom who died and was left with a dad who was barely making ends meet. There were other kids there too. I had the question of how to transport the 2 girls so that all the kids would be at the party at the same time. I was actively looking for somewhere to buy 2 boosters. That's when Ron texted me asking what I was doing. I told him what I was doing, and he told me he had 2 boosters. I said, how come he has 2? If he had one son, he said it was because he had 2 cars. I thought it was a hint of help, but I thought he was bragging. I didn't ask him for help. And after the topic, and then I left the chat room. He called me about 30 minutes later with the words, if I don't find these 2 boosters, he will come. I asked him if he liked cake, to which I got an affirmative answer. I said that I would gladly accept his offer, and it's great that he likes cake. I will have something to thank him with. At the appointed time he arrived, helped me bring and separate all the kids, cut the cake, helped me clear the table. We were the only adults there. By the way, he tried to go you again, but I got away with it. He still wants to make amends and resolve the conflict with the tenants. After the birthday party, in the evening I wrote to him thanking him for his help. Then he disappeared for about a week. Then he wrote himself, I decided that a cake was not enough as a thank you for his good deed. He tried to invite me to his house, but I ignored it. It seemed strange to me. 2 days later he wrote himself, suggested we meet in a couple hours for tea. I agreed, but I felt that he would not come, and so it turned out. When I was ready, before he had time to write about it, came from him a text message apologizing, say he had urgent business. I was already ready for his drain morally, so I reacted adequately. But after a month we corresponded on the phone about nothing. I didn't know how to get him out, to see him, but he didn't offer anything. And then we had a third spontaneous meeting. He was at a friend's house not far from me, and I didn't expect myself, but I cheekily texted him to go out. He was kind of excited. But our meeting lasted about 40 minutes. We had tea and I had to go. But before I left, I gave Ron a box and told him to open it later at home. He was surprised, happy, kissed me on the cheek, and asked me why I was so kind. I guess he didn't expect it and didn't know how to react. He went home and texted me 2 hours later that he was shocked that my panties were in the box and I perfumed them. That's the kind of pretentious move I made. But I didn't reply to his message. I said goodnight. In the morning, he cut off my phone. He tried to talk to me about the gift. He asked me if I'd taken them off. Underpants. I replied that it's a secret and I didn't go on about it. I decided to leave him alone with his fantasies. He was freaking out about it. Well, what's the purpose of these underpants? Am I weird? He offered to help me move into my office. I turned him down, saying it was practically done. I felt like he really wanted to do something for me after that gift. I later took advantage of his eagerness, could not set up the remote control, and he volunteered to help. Eventually found a new remote control, brought it, and a gift to me, the return. As a gift, he gave me an intimate thing, which I already have. Apparently, he was trying to surprise me with this gift too. But it turned out the other way around. I took and sent him a photo that I have the same thing. He immediately noticed that it is bigger. It turned out not convenient. Then he disappeared. He was silent for 2 weeks. Then he started writing again. I tried not to write to him first. Very rarely. I texted him twice. And the third time I texted him, "Hi, how are you?" I got a cold one. "Hi, I have a lot of work to do right now. No time to answer." Well, that was the end of it. I went about my business and didn't think about him. 2 months passed, and he wrote to me again. I happily replied to him, demonstrated it with a smiley face. He, by the way, later in the correspondence, said that it was good that we did not have sex. It's a responsibility. I joked about whether he deliberately disappeared. He replied that he went to see his son, and I replied that I remembered and it's okay. And he immediately invited me for coffee. The next day we had coffee at lunch, and he invited me to his house. He had been to my place once, when he brought me the remote control. We agreed that the meeting would take place on Saturday. Unfortunately, on Saturday, because of work, I was late for 1.5 hours. I apologized. He cooked a delicious dinner, flooded the sauna, we smoked hookah, drank mineral water. He did not pester. We chatted merrily. I had put massage oil with me beforehand. And once again after the steam room, gave him a foot massage. He was in shock, barely relaxed, although it seemed to me that not completely. Apparently, a sudden foot massage to a man who has not even hinted at getting closer, it is the same shock about as that gift in the form of underpants. Yes, I'm a brave lady. Afterwards, we sat for a while and it was close to midnight. I didn't wait to be pointed at the door. I announced that I was going home. He walked me home. He kissed me on the cheek. Asked me to text him when I got home. Literally a couple days later, he calls me again for the weekend, but sounded such, in my opinion, the phrase, "I want to try to invite you to visit," or "friends in the bath." I referred to the cleaning of the apartment and suggested that he spend this weekend with friends. Otherwise, they will soon start to make him jealous of me. Then I found out that he was home alone that weekend. And the next weekend he was working and I didn't ask him out. We just texted about nothing. A week went by and I got caught up in my own stuff, my own worries. Ron told me that he was on vacation with his friends. They were drinking beer and had already left. He told me how they were testing his friend's Chinese speaker and his branded speaker. We were talking on the video. And then he told me, "I showed you to my friends. They want to meet you." I kind of successfully concealed my joy by showing surprise. Yeah, I was happy to see a little progress. And I asked if it was urgent to have a viewing party. I felt a little uncomfortable. He is in my heart. I am waiting for his activity. He noticed it and said that it's as it turns out, we are not in a hurry. But he told me he'd really like me to be a girl. I suggested we talk about it some other time. He said he likes me, but he's married, his family lives in another city, but it's a complicated relationship. He wouldn't want to be in bed with me, but he needs to figure out his personal life. Listening to his voice on the phone, I didn't see any interest in me. I wished him to be happy, despite the fact that we are not together, and hung up. He started calling me and writing about injustice and why honesty became a punishment, that he would dream of such a girl. He called me 3 days in a row in all messengers. I never once answered his call or text either. I like him, but he is indecisive about me. I don't see any pressure, no action, just empty talk. I don't know if we have a chance to be together. Does he want to make a choice? Does he have to make a choice right now? And who's more important to him right now? Or should I just let the situation go and not sit around in a tower? Please subscribe to the channel. There are many more interesting stories to come. Thank you.